Welcome to the meeting room at Global TV Talk Show, a broadcast service of globalbusinessnews.net.
Now, here's your host, Ed Cohen.
Hi, it's Ed Cohen in Southern California, coming to you today from Big Bear Lake. It's 7,000 feet high, about 100 miles east of LA. Beautiful day here today. The snow on the ground and the ski slopes have opened. So it's going to be a great winter for vacation rentals. So come on over. Okay, so our special program today is about the truthfulness about online education and how it could really benefit families with online schooling and homeschooling, and how to continue to grow and flourish despite the COVID VUCA times we're in. Want to introduce Chase Eskelsen, Verano. Please take over.
Yeah, thanks, Ed. Appreciate you having us back on today, and we're really excited to talk with you. Interestingly, a lot of people say what happened, with COVID in the spring and now into the fall and winter, they do call it homeschool. But I think throughout today, we'll talk about the fact that it is still regular school. It just so happens to be occurring at home. And so we like to try to differentiate just a little bit from homeschool to digital education that happens to occur in the home.
Yeah, and even further, Chase, the difference between emergency distance learning and traditional online distance learning and hybrid learning. I think there's a big difference there that we'll dive into a little bit.
Great. Nikki, hello. Introduce yourself, please.
Hi, I'm Nikki Hoffman. I'm the Director of Academics and Operations at Strong Mind.
Okay, great. The sound got a little muffled, Paul, on this end. Nikki, could you please say the name of your position in the school again?
Yes, so I am the Director of Academics and Operations at Strong Mind. I currently work out of Valor, Arizona with Dan.
Oh, it's great. So Strong Minds, is that relating to K through 2 or K through 12?
So that's another great question. We currently offer curriculum for 6 through 12, and we are partnering with, 6 through 12 online.
Okay, great. Yes. Chase, that's a good point. But Julie, so tell us about the ballet approach as an example of the flexibility that you offer.
Yeah, so the Bridge School is an online K through 12 program. We are an accredited international school offering students a US-based diploma. And, we offer a lot of different programs that really cater to the needs of our students who have special circumstances. They might have a job, they might be traveling abroad, they might be some type of a student athlete where they need to have a balance between school and work. Some of our students are part of ballet companies, and they are putting in, sometimes when they're getting ready for performances, they're putting in 60 hours a week between practices and performances and rehearsals. And so we offer a great opportunity for our students to school whenever they are available. It doesn't have to be set times Monday through Friday. Sometimes they might be putting in school on, the weekend, or, if we are in a peak season of travel and performances, our students are able to take a little bit of a pause on their education for 2 weeks while they're in that busyness of the season, and then come back and finish the semester after that peak season is over. So that's a really exciting thing for our students to be able to do that's not necessarily offered in a traditional schooling option.
So have you traced the viability of that, of spreading out, breaking up the day education? Is the performance, I hate to use that word, but is the viability of that form of education proven itself?
Ed, there is not a one size fits all for every student. So, some students thrive where they can set their own schedule. And, some students really prefer to maybe focus in on, 2 or 3 courses at a time, while other students are able to manage, 6 courses at a time. And, they prefer to have that really set schedule where they know what they're doing every single day. So the success of the student really comes along when the teachers and the students work together, along with the parent, to determine what works best for that particular student and come up with a plan where that student can be successful.
Hi, Nikki, please.
Nikki, actually, if you could jump in, I'm interested in your thoughts on this. I think I can speak for all of us on this call when we say that a full-time online or a hybrid education is not going to fit for every student, but it is the right fit for a lot of students. Can you talk to us, Nikki, just a little bit, and then maybe even Dan, about some of the benefits that you find from blended learning and which students are really thriving in that environment?
So I'll jump in first. So thank you for that. Sorry about the audio issues, everyone.
No, it's perfect now.
Okay, good. So blended and online learning and using a digital curriculum, there's definitely benefits. And we do see those within our own, within our hybrid schools, as well as other schools that Strong Minds partners with. One of the benefits of online education or online digital learning and using a strong curriculum, because you need to have a strong online curriculum, is that truly the kids have their curriculum with them, whether they're in the building or whether they're at home. And that is a plus for sure, because if they need to go back and look at something or they went to study something, they can just log right in and take a look at it and study right from home or from school. And then also it gives them a platform to always have access to their teachers. And another benefit of the digital curriculum is that teachers, some of the assignments are graded for the teachers when it comes to the multiple choice, so that can save the teachers some time. I know Dan has some thoughts too, so I'm going to kick it over to Dan.
Oh yeah, thanks, Nikki. How's the volume? Can you handle the voice? I'm about 3.5 feet away from my computer right now, so I could go to the other side of the room, but that's my next move.
It's good.
I think it's okay.
Great. So absolutely, Nikki, I think you're on target. So my background is I was 18 years as a Spanish teacher in a public school district in Pennsylvania. And I spent the last 12 years building innovative programs out there that leverage the teacher more than just, for example, the curriculum, or more than just the form of the school itself, but what is the power of what teachers have to bring to the table, and how do we combine that with the needs of the 21st century? So what brought me out to Verano, out here to Arizona, was Verano's dedication to leading with function driving form and not form driving function. So much in my past life in education, you have a form. It's a 7-hour school day. It begins at a certain time, ends at a certain time. You have lunch, class begins in this moment, ends at this moment, and that's when learning for that class ends. That function is what I spent the last 12 years trying to pull apart to make sure the form is at the front of that and at the back. So what I've seen out of Verano, and certainly out of our environment here in Valor, is the form is for our particular environment. We want to empower parents, we want to empower students, we want to empower our teachers to make the right decisions at the right moment for themselves, for the family. If it's the teachers, what's the right choice for them? Is most of the times we do station rotation so that teachers can get at least small group instruction with the students, while I still practice the basics and the foundational pieces that they need to get done, but also get really small group. Even if they have a group of 20 kids in a room, 25 kids in a room, that's going to be shrunk down to 4 kids, 3 kids at a time, and data driven based on what Strong Mind is feeding us out of the data that students have put in. So the form is, how do we get students and parents and teachers to make the right choice for them in learning based on the goals that they have? And that's what drove me out here. And it's the alignment of those tools and those targets and those techniques that make really the difference between these schools and what would be a traditional school that is typically bound, and I did for most of my career, bound by function, or rather form over the function.
Dan, once again, in Valor Prep, what age brackets and grade levels are you dealing with?
We are currently 6 to 10. Grade 6 to 10, that is. Yeah.
I see. Okay, cool. So how does this feed into Bridge School?
So we're actually both programs of Verano Learning, and Verano Learning is a nonprofit education organization. And one of the great things that we have with Verano Learning is the ability to tailor the program based on the community needs. So for example, the Bridge School is fully online, it's a virtual school, and it's a global private school versus Valor, where Dan's at. It is a public charter school and it meets the needs of their local community. So that's one of the fantastic things about working with Verano is that they're able to come in and partner up with schools to meet the needs of the community and not just say, this is what we offer. It's a one size and that's our offering. And we're going to come and plant this in your community, whether it's your solution or not. They're really great about tailoring what the community needs.
Yeah.
And I'll add, as we talk through some of this today, I know most of your listeners are not based in Arizona or some of the other states where Verano has schools. But the interesting thing as your global audience hears what we're talking about with full-time online and blended learning, our focus is going to be on the Bridge School. But I really thought it important that we invite Nikki and Dan today, even though they're based in Arizona, the concepts that they are instituting at our schools in the States also will come into play with the Bridge School. For instance, yes, the Bridge School is a full-time online international school, but as we get groups of students and we get partnerships with other schools around the world, we stand up hybrid locations in those places. So even though you may be listening today and you're not in Arizona, but you're in somewhere else, for instance, we have a site in Honduras, and maybe Julie, you can talk about that site here in just a minute, but all the things that we're talking about are going to continue to grow out as we get additional students in our Bridge School.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to add in here that we have upcoming programs focusing in on Brazil and Greece and India and Hong Kong and somewhere else. Can't remember right now, my head is. So there's a lot of exposure. And so if we can help provide introductions or more information to our audiences in all those places for Bridge School and Verano, that just, strong minds, let me know.
And Ed, if I could jump in there, I just got off a phone call with a school from Canada yesterday with a very similar question. And I think to Chase's point, it really, when, back in Pennsylvania, we would have people come in and explain what they did. But it's more important that you come in and say, what's your goal and what are you looking for? What is the form you're shooting for? If it's a school within a school, then we can prop up a hybrid. We could go in there and explain exactly what you want to get done out of it. Let's say it's just college prep, or is it to leverage the fact that, much like Julie, if you have a high-level gymnast and they need that space to get it done, then that's more of a fully online environment. In the hybrid learning environment, the goal is to leverage what your teachers are doing while empowering the students to do things that are more outside of the classroom to get a more authentic audience in that situation, as opposed to keep them in the room day after day. But that really goes back to the conversation you have with the school you're walking into. Say, what are you shooting for? What's your goal? What's your instructional model for this group? And then hybrid can fit any piece of that, whether it's more intense class time or it's less face-to-face time, and more what's the goal for the outside of physical classroom time. So that's what we can talk to people about once we get in the room and find out what the goals are.
Julie, do you have any classes that are foreign language? Well, different language other than English.
Right. So all of our courses are taught in English. Like I mentioned earlier, we offer a U.S. based diploma, and many of our students have gone on to U.S. universities and international universities. But we do offer foreign languages for our students as well, and that's a pretty common requirement for high school graduation, to have at least 2 years of foreign language. And so that is something that we do offer, especially in Spanish, all the way up through AP Spanish. So a lot of our students are natural born citizens of other countries, and they might already have some of that dual language and bilingual or trilingual reading and writing. And that is a huge benefit when they're looking at the global market.
So one of my grandsons, James, is just turned 8. And so his mom is fluent in French and is a French instructor. So the kid has grown up speaking 2 languages. And around the house, she talks with him in French. And so he goes to a charter school in San Diego, which is one of these hybrid schools. Of course, they can't go to the facility these days. So it's all homeschooled. And so I was wondering, that's why I asked you, are there capabilities for continuing that level of education should they ever get transferred somewhere?
Yeah, so, at the beginning of the show, we talked a little bit about the difference between, homeschooling and virtual schooling, and emergency virtual schooling, and hybrid. And these are all terms that are kind of like thrown out there and sometimes used interchangeably. But I think it really is beneficial to talk about the differences. A traditional homeschool is where the parent has, and it varies by state and region and country, what the requirements are to homeschool your child. But that is where the parent is taking a very large ownership in the student's learning, and may or may not, depending on the state, be doing the direct instruction with the student. Most states do not require a teacher that the parent is working with when they're homeschooling. And so the parent is doing a lot of the research on their own, deciding what curriculum or variety of curriculums that they want to use throughout that schooling. Again, depending on the states, some states have requirements as far as, portfolios that students submit at the end of the year, or testing requirements. So that varies by region and state. Now, the next stage is that emergency distance learning that you mentioned with your grandson. So because of COVID around the globe, schools have been forced to pivot and move online. And what has happened in many schools across the nation is that, one, they've kind of required their students to be on these kind of Zoom meetings for hours and hours a day. And that's not great experience for students. I mean, think about us as adults. When we are on a Zoom meeting for, an hour, we're spent, because that's a lot of screen time. That's a lot of time where you have to be paying attention. And, your brain needs those breaks. It needs those mental breaks. But secondly, a lot of these schools who have had to pivot into emergency online learning are trying to fit what they've done in those bricks and mortar schools and fit it online. So that means that they're making a scanned version of the worksheets that they'd normally hand out in class. And the students are trying to use these different programs to write in answers on these PDF documents using their mouse, right? Like it's not a great user experience, and the students are stuck trying to learn these different platforms and programs in order to fill out a PDF that's been placed online, instead of having a curriculum that is built to be online and it's more interactive, and students are able to complete their work through, either a, Word document or filling in an online form. It's all built into the curriculum itself. And we have learned over years and years and years of studying distance learning that distance learning works best when it's broken up for the students. So, we mentioned earlier that some students really need to have that set schedule, but having breaks throughout the day and reading a little bit, and then maybe you're having a video or a small group Zoom session where it's more interactive and the students are engaged, and it's not just the teacher who's standing in front of Zoom lecturing for an entire hour, and then having an offline activity or an interactive activity that they can do to practice what they've learned is really the sequence that we have found through lots of research that works best. And then when you add in Dan and Nikki's component of the couple of hours of in-person instruction, it really is another layer and another component to it.
I think one thing I want to really highlight that you said, Julie, is successful online schooling. Teachers have a platform to be successful on and with the students. And that's truly the difference between emergency schooling, where just worksheets are emailed out and directions are given to parents. But true successful online schooling gives teachers the opportunity to meet with them in Zoom, use the curriculum that they can help drive the students' education, and not try to, just like you said, cram what they used to do in the classroom into an email or an all day long Zoom meeting.
Chase?
One thing, Nikki, to follow up is teachers are amazing at what they do, but building curriculum is not one of the things. I mean, in my struggles in the last 12 years in trying to build hybrid environments inside the public school without curriculum, the toughest part was we had to transfer everything online with people who aren't meant to do that. It doesn't leverage the skills that they have and the relationships they've built. It's the good stuff that they do. So when parent quickly that lean on something that people do specifically, which is they build online curriculum. And then when the teacher gets with them, they're just focusing on the good stuff that they do with kids and, focusing on those really transferable skills.
I like how you talk about the good stuff, Dan, because something that is hard and somewhat gets lost with the emergency schooling is that relational aspect. And that's what teachers are really good at. They're good at building relationships with kids. And so whatever we can do, like with a great ongoing curriculum or an engaging curriculum that's already there for them, like Dan said, it's already built for them. It allows them to get to know those kids. It allows them to spend their time building that relationship, which at the end of the day, success with students does come from a relational aspect.
Julie, to what extent? Please, Dan.
Yeah, sorry, that's Chase. One of the things that I think of when we talk about a digital curriculum, so many people hear like, oh, you have a digital curriculum, you must be trying to replace the teacher, and teachers start to freak out like, oh, they're trying to replace me. But that it could not be further from the truth. You have to look at it from the perspective of if you have somebody that's working on a line building widgets, you have to give those people the appropriate and proper tools to build that widget. And it's the exact same thing for teachers. We're not trying to replace teachers. We're trying to take a digital curriculum and these digital tools and put them into the tool belt of the teacher. And you can't replace a good quality teacher or good quality instruction. But what we can do from a digital perspective is fill up their tool belt with the stuff that makes their job easier, more effective, and helping those teachers to do exactly what they signed up to do, which is to teach. So I think that's a common misconception when we start talking about digital tools and digital infrastructure. And the case is that we have to have a great teacher, but from a remote perspective or from a digital perspective, we got to provide the right tools from day one.
Julie, to what extent do you have the question is, do you have regular meetings with parents?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I think, again, it varies a little bit depending on the format that you're delivering as a school. The main level of communication, especially in those middle school and high school grades, are from the teacher to the student directly. And we want to keep the parents apprised of what's going on. So of course we send out, progress reports. We encourage teachers to communicate directly with the parents. The parents have an observation account where they can see how the students are doing. But at those younger years, that communication with the parent is vital. So the K through 5 especially, even though we are an online virtual school, those younger years, we have a teacher that works with the students, but it's so important to have a parent or an adult at home who can help guide the student through their learning. The teacher is there to help with the instruction and any problems that the students are having, but to make sure that the students are able to get online and access their courses and make sure that they've got the worksheets that they need printed out. So those types of things, especially at the younger years, that parent or the adult at home is vital.
Thank you. Chase, is this part of the whole marketing comfort building program that you employ?
Definitely. We at Verano, as we were just talking about adding tools to the tool belt, we like to find out what exactly is it that specific region, location, community, whatever it might be, what are the problems that you're facing and how can we help solve them? And so, we have some of the solutions from the digital perspective for the Bridge School. We find out when there's a need, we'll go in and we'll help solve that problem. One thing that I feel very strongly about, I know the great people on this call believe as well, is that during 2020 and what seemingly looks like it will be into 2021, it's getting forgotten so often, is social emotional health, like mental health of our students and our staff. We have spent a lot of time the last 8 or 9 months focused on physical health, and we definitely should. We've got to keep people healthy. But I think that many schools have completely thrown out good, effective mental health. And Ed, we actually have a show coming up with you about mental health, and we've got, I think Dr. Natalie Forrest is joining that time to talk with us as well.
Yeah. In fact, yesterday she and I had a talk show about that, and that was topic A, about the mental health and reaching out. And
yeah,
so
I mean, it has completely been forgotten.
That.
Yeah, it's been completely forgotten in most schools across the nation and around the world. And I just think that we as educators have to realize that to educate students, we've got to make sure that mentally, physically, they're safe and that they're well taken care of. And maybe Dan and Nikki, you can talk a little bit about some of the things that we're doing at Valor. I know part of it is having a hybrid location is huge. We're able to see these kids and to put eyes on them and have an in-depth conversation. But I know in the curriculum as well, and I'll let them talk about that. But ultimately, we have to take care of their mental health on top of all the other things that we've got to be working on.
Yeah, and Nikki and Dan, I welcome you guys to consider, if it's okay, to join us on that mental health program.
Absolutely. That is the beginning of pretty much every conversation we have here. The academics, you can't tease the two out, really, quite honestly. They're so intertwined. Mental health leads the conversation. But really, and if, let's say, academics are going well, then many times mental health and physical health and everything is going with it. And when things aren't going well, it's not hard to find the correlation between all of them. So it's why we begin with relationships first. That's how we started. We start most of our meetings, most of our PLCs and discussions, like how are the relationships holding up? And then, we walk through the whys and the hows of all the other pieces after that.
I'm sorry, Dan, folks, a lot of folks on here are not educators and they don't know what a PLC is. Can you explain PLC and how that could also be implemented, something like a PLC, from a corporate perspective? There's going to be a lot of corporate folks who listen in on this broadcast. And I think that what you all do during your PLCs could be integrated into the corporate world as well.
Sure. So the PLC is a professional learning community. It's where our staff learns from each other based on the data that's brought in with them. So we first identify the strengths and relative weaknesses that are happening within our organization. And you bring that data with you to the PLC. And that includes for us, because StrongMind brings a ton of data with it because students work inside of that. And so that'll tell us those pieces. But also there's extra ones that don't live inside there, like engagement. How engaged are your students in this process? What is your parent contact with them? And what has gone well? So what you bring into the PLC, a high functioning PLC, is a great deal of accountability between each other. So it's data driven. So you have to, so if your students are performing well, we want to know what you're doing well in that environment. And if they're not performing well, if you have the highest number of students who are deficient in one unit or in one lesson, what didn't go well? And then the team together builds the solution, or at least builds the better questions as to how we get to a better environment for those kids, and what a student-centered environment looks like. When asking how did this impact the kids, what does the data go with that? What are the engagement pieces? That's what our good PLCs look.
Nikki?
And yeah, no, I was going to say the other part too that's really important, going back to that relational aspect. You know, we do look at people who are struggling within their academics and really asking why. Like, what else is going on with the student? How else can we reach out to them? What else can we do to help that student, you know, succeed academically and take care of some of those social emotional needs? And I also just really think everybody needs to get to the place of, you know, 2020, it was hard. There's a lot of learned behaviors that there's a lot of learned behaviors that people have learned, and they're starting to become a little bit of the norm. And it's just different. And so I agree that emotional health is so important, but also being aware of what behaviors have we learned and are we doing that maybe aren't healthy as well. And we need to take a step back and look at all of that too. So I'm excited about the next session.
What I want to add is just yesterday morning, I had a program with, the topic was mental well-being, and the vehicle was music therapy. Mm-hmm. In other words, to be specific, so we had this concert pianist who's from Italy and now in Southern California, and he played the piano, grand piano, beautiful melody, and in the background was a soothing video. Okay, and it was great. It didn't put me to sleep. I'm the host, but it was very relaxing. And I would think that kind of programming could add to the mental health issue as an aside, as an instruction, to help prep the idea of learning something new or building togetherness and awareness, because the mental health is not a stigma, shouldn't be. And it's all just part of the learning program, right, Nikki?
Yeah, it shouldn't be a stigma. And I think, you know, the world is always changing, and our students are changing, and families are changing. And, you know, mental health and well-being is stressed now more than what it was 20 years ago. And, you know, there's a reason for that. And that's okay, because we're just going to continue to evolve. And one of the great things is that we can adapt and take from what we learn, what we know to be true, and we can adapt. And that's one of the reasons, you know, schools are so great, because schools are constantly adapting, they're constantly evolving, they're constantly changing to what's going to be good for what do our students need now. You know, it's some of the baseline basics can be very much the same, but what it looks like is different. So that is also an exciting part about education, that you can see both online, hybrid, and then in more of the traditional school as well.
By the way, Ed and Chase, I'm all in for the music therapy.
Yeah, Dan, I was actually thinking about that, right? As soon as you said it.
We have that space over there, Chase. You know what I'm talking about. Make that work.
A little baby grand would look great over there.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah. And a concert pianist too.
That too. Ed knows somebody, so we're good to go.
I'm sure I'm sure he'd like a gig. Yeah. So,
Ed, you're right though, that there's so much that can be said around having music and video and media, all these things, and having a good digital curriculum includes all of these pieces. What we're seeing a lot of from emergency distance learning, which is what a teacher is building kind of ad hoc as they go, is we're seeing a lot of PDFs and Word documents and pages with just black and white text versus a good digital curriculum that includes access to music and movies and gamification and all these other components that go in that make it interactive, that make it engaging. Our students today, their attention span is quite short because they've got Twitter and 240 characters, and they've got, all these other social media platforms that it's just go, 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 go the entire day. And then they come to school and we expect them to read a black and white PDF. Like, that's not going to be good for engagement. And so a good digital curriculum, what we've instituted across all of our schools, is a curriculum that's built for today's students, that does include the music and the video. It includes interactive games and different things. It makes such a big difference. Keeping kids there, present, in the moment, learning the content, completely different than, just creating a PDF of the workbook that they would have seen had they been in the campus.
And now a word from our co-sponsors. Our programs wouldn't happen without the wonderful support of our advertisers. Here they are.
Something that's really neat is that the Bridge School partners with various organizations to provide learning for their students. For example, we partner with a major ballet company, and we are able to enroll several of their students into our school. So now not only is the student able to participate in a school and have a seamless transition while they're very active in their ballet career, but now they have other dancers that are with them that are doing some of the same courses. So it's almost becoming a camaraderie where they're taking similar courses, they're working together on their ballet, and really being able to form this great partnership with these organizations to provide a needed service. A lot of times there are student athletes who will spend hours and hours at the gym or at the basketball courts, wherever it is. And if they're attending a traditional school, they're in school from 8 to 3. They get a quick snack, and then they're at the gym for 3 to 4 hours in the evening. Coming to us and having that partnership, they're able to break that up throughout the day. They can have a morning practice, get some schooling in, have an afternoon practice, finish their schooling in the evening. So there's that flexibility. And additionally, if there are tournaments or performances, it's fantastic because if there's a week where they have shows straight through, they can take that week off of learning and then pick back up when they're done. So it offers this great flexibility. And for the program owners of these sports leagues, it is a win-win situation for them because they see this need. They see this need that their students need to make sure that they are obtaining the grades necessary to be successful adults in our country and in other countries. But it provides them an environment where they can be successful at both.
This episode from the meeting room of Global TV Talk Show is brought to you by
The Bridge School, the accredited international online private school of choice at bridgek12.org.
Porch Light Rental and Destination Services. Reduce your renter lump sum or managed relocation costs. Visit them at porchlightrental.com.
CubeMonk, featuring the world's first smart cube. Track your goods with our advanced GPS system. Welcome to the future of moving and relocation at cubemonk.com.
Primestone Partners, featuring corporate, government, and developer housing solutions, as well as senior-level advisory services. Find them at primestonepartners.com.
And by heirs.com. With our full range of services, we can help design and manage your international relocation. Find us at airs.com.
Insured Nomads provides protection and peace of mind with health insurance, travel insurance, group, or tailored insurance for the globally mobile. Visit us at insurednomads.com.
And by International Auto Source. We are the vehicle experts for expats, featuring all major brands of automobiles with flexible solutions and financing. On the web at intlauto.com.
Hi, my name is Christine. I'm a nurse from the Philippines, and I got to know IAS through Worldwide Health Staff Solutions. And I want to thank IAS, especially to Matthew, for helping me get my car stress-free, headache-free. And so just want to show you the car that I got. So it's a RAV4 XLE 2020.
As an expat moving to the USA, relocating is exciting, but it can also be stressful. Getting a car, truck, or SUV for personal transportation is usually a high priority. That's where International Auto Source comes in. We make getting the vehicle you want for your work assignment or academic program easy, so you're ready to drive when you arrive. Our product specialists have helped over 50,000 expatriates with their personal transportation needs, making us the largest international auto retailer in the world. International Auto Source gives you flexible payment options to buy, lease, or rent a vehicle from the world's leading auto brands, arrange financing on a purchase or lease without a U.S. credit history, social security number, or driving record, get full insurance coverage, and get approved easily through our low-rate factory-backed financing programs. And because we're an authorized distributor of the world's leading automotive brands, our no-haggle prices are competitive, and the buying experience is hassle-free. We'll even guarantee your new vehicle will be ready the day you arrive. With over 20 years of experience in the global community, we are the vehicle experts for expats. We are International Auto Source.
So one of the shows we had recently was with a photo artist, photojournalist, but she's really an artist. She's based in Finland and has formed a company with a lady in Silicon Valley to teach visual. In other words, they show pictures, something. It could be a fisherman, or it could be a sunset, or it could be something. And then the therapy or the training is cross-culturally using Zoom because you can't do in person. Julie, what do you think of what that picture says? Chase, what do you think? Nikki, what do you think? You know, and then everybody shares ideas, no matter how stupid they are. You know, and so and that breeds familiar. You know, takes away anxiety and gets people to understand or be willing to listen to somebody who's a stranger.
Mm-hmm. Is this with Nana?
Yeah.
Okay. Actually, I think everyone except for Nikki. Nikki, I should probably add you to the invite. We're meeting with her as a general team the first or second week of December. We're really excited about it.
I'm really happy.
I look forward to it.
Yeah, that's good. So all these different techniques we're weaving in, of course, we're trying to do things a little bit differently than the other people doing podcasts, Zoomcasts. So we're trying to just grow exponentially by taking a concept such as what Verano and Bridge School is doing, and then adding in these other business-oriented educational tools, and then building a group of programs that we could push out in the new year.
Yeah, kind of speaking about that and how it all interrelates. You know, one of the things before we wrap up today that I really wanted to talk about too is how all of this even pertains to some of the other folks who might be listening. So whether you are an HR professional working with, potential candidates who are relocating to another country, or if you are in a different, mobile family transition, whatever your role is, I think that there's many different avenues that we as an organization can help your clients with. And I think mainly is that stability. We have a lot of families who are international, and, as they're moving from one country to another, especially in this time, it can be very challenging trying to switch schools if they have children. And we've heard from many HR professionals that right now and years before that they have had great candidates and great talent decline positions because there weren't viable education solutions in that area where they wanted to move folks into. And so a school like the Bridge School that is across borders, they can take that and have that continuity in education for their children as they're moving into another area. Jason and I have also talked to some HR professionals recently that have talked about how many companies and organizations that are global are moving away from having the employees move from country to country. So they're not necessarily going to be paying the education benefits and the living expenses. Instead, they are having that employee be local employees of that government. And so when employees are having that education benefit taken away and they're no longer able to afford the private school that's in the area, the Bridge School is a great opportunity for some of those families that maybe can't afford the $20,000 a year tuition costs of the private school.
Perfect. Boy. So how did you come up with the idea of Strong Minds? How did you get that label? Nikki.
It's a good question. Strong Mind has been around for a very long time, and I'll let Nikki answer. It's been around for about 20 years, and it's a sister entity to Verano, and they're the ones that believe in having a future generation with some minds that are strong in academics. And then, one of the vehicles to get that done was through Verano. Nikki, I'll let you and Dan talk a little bit more about all the different things that Strong Mind does do for students and schools.
Sure, I'll go ahead and take that. Yeah, it's been around a while. Ed, sorry, just messed up a bunch of words there. That's okay. It's okay. So Strong Mind has been around for about 20 years. Started off as proprietary and single focused on one of the schools out in Arizona, and then has just really branched out to form partnerships like with Verano. We also do individual curriculum sales to different charter schools around the nation as well. They utilize the digital curriculum and pull it into, their own offerings that they have at their schools. And then we also have schools, and so we have that type of partnership. And then we also have schools where we provide management services, and we also do that through in partnership with Verano as well, where we work really closely with the schools in all aspects, not only their curriculum choice, but in also as helping set up programs, doing different trainings with school, working in partnerships with school leaders, focusing on compliance and operations. What does academics look like? Digging into data a little bit more. So we are a many-pronged entity, I guess is the best way to say it. We don't just have one specific area.
And Nikki, one of the areas that Strong Mind, I think, so I've worked with a lot of companies throughout the US, and the one thing Strong Mind brings right now, especially, is they have the first hybrid curriculum that I've run into that really helps teachers guide the learning inside the classroom that mirrors what happens in the online curriculum. So when when we open up our curriculum, everything that's out there is built to live both in or out of the classroom, depending on what the teacher feels is the best use of their time in that moment. And if the data comes back and shows that we're really struggling with this piece of the quadratic equation, there's activities in there for hybrid. So it'll tell you this will be the independent station. This is the teacher seminar area. So it helps guide the teacher in how to run the classroom in the hybrid environment, which is really unique. And one of the things that drew me to StrongMind and to Verano, most of the curriculum out there is really just, here's the online curriculum, try and make this work. And it is really a step in the direction that StrongMind has chosen. It's unique in the field.
I'm so glad that you brought that up, Dan, because it's true. There isn't really a hybrid curriculum out there like what StrongMind has offered.
Well, I thank you guys for being on the program today. It's just adding so much depth, quality, just great. We're getting bombarded by the sunshine coming in here, so I'm turning my thing.
They're the worst problems to have, Ed.
I know.
They're the worst problems to have.
No. So I thank you for being on Global TV again, and we look forward to the mental health program and to learning more about Strong Minds. Thank you, Nikki. Dan, nice to meet you. Come on back. And thank you.
Great.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ed.
Have a good day.
Thanks, Ed. Thanks, Paul.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining us in the meeting room at Global TV Talk Show.
Have a wonderful day, and stay safe.